Howdy, this is the Views from the Shop podcast. I'm your host, your one and only host, Tim Miller, and today it is Sunday, March 29th, 2026, and I wish you a very, very, very happy Texas Loves the Children Day. On today's show, we are discussing Devin Royal and his intention to enter the transfer portal when it opens here on April 7th. Today's show is all about Devin Royal. Why is he entering the portal? What actually happened as well? Kind of background and context behind the decision, how this impacts Ohio State moving forward, and a couple other notes on kind of like big picture takeaway as we look at what Ohio State will do in the portal. This is big news. This is a big name that enters the transfer portal, and it got big reaction as well. So on today's show, I want to cover everything in regards to that. At this point, I'm hoping I get this show right. I want it out right once Duke and who they playing, UConn. When that game is over, that's when I want this show out. So I hope that you can enjoy it on Sunday evening. That's my goal. We'll see if we can get it up in time. And other than that, housekeeping. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Like the video on YouTube right now. Please hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube. That helps the show a bunch. Comment, let me know, what are your thoughts on Devin Royal hitting the portal as well. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. Really want to grow the YouTube. That would be awesome. And then one other thing, the Substack is a place that, again, I highly, highly recommend you go. You're looking at nothing right now. Don't worry. I'm going to get it there for you. Look, if you're on YouTube, at least you're looking at nothing right now. I highly recommend you get to the Substack, okay? There is a discount for signing up for an annual subscription. You can get a monthly subscription, also get a 7-day free trial on either or. Doesn't matter. That's where I'm dropping a lot of notes, a lot of scoops, a lot of stuff like that. Highly, highly recommend you get there. Got an article out the second the news posted on Devin Royal. Also, this article, if you're watching on YouTube, Ohio State basketball intel dump, March 28th, 2026, there was a lot there. There was a lot there that was only for insider subscribers specifically. So highly, highly, highly recommend that you get there. Just so you know, the price is going to go up on April 1st. For insider subscribers, that price is not going up. If you're not there yet, the price will go up. Just, sorry, have some strong relationships, have some good intel that's going out there, and that's just what's going to happen. So, highly recommend you get to the Substack as well. Views from the Shop podcast.substack.com. Okay. Devin Royal is entering the transfer portal. Everyone announced it all at the same time, 2 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. This is not a surprise whatsoever. This is something that I predicted on my transfer portal prediction show earlier this week. It's something that I told insider subscribers even during the season and then into, well, the end of the season, the postseason for Ohio State. I said over and over, I really don't expect Devin Royal back. I said he was a wild card, but if it comes down to Bynum or Devin Royal, I think Amari Bynum is going to be back and Devin Royal will not. Devin Royal, the first Ohio State player to announce his intention to enter the transfer portal. It's not a surprise whatsoever. As we look at Devin Royal across his junior year, look, again, this is a 4-star player coming in from Pickerington, an Ohio kid, a Columbus kid who plays 3 years at Ohio State. And his last year at Ohio State scores 13.7 points per game, 1.6 assists per game, rebounds well. Second year in a row that he leads the team in rebounding at 5.7 rebounds per game. And he shoots it okay, 47.6% from the field, 31.6% from the 3-point line was Devin Royal in the previous year for Ohio State as a junior. He will have 1 year of eligibility remaining in college basketball so long as we continue this 4-year rule from the NCAA. If it goes to 5 years, he'll get 2 years. We'll see what happens with Devin Royal. But again, this wasn't a surprise that Royal enters the transfer portal. It still leaves a bit of a void for Ohio State. This was a guy who came in for the Buckeyes as a junior. He scored between 10 and 19 points in all but 10 games this season. So, 24-ish games in which he scored 10 to 19 points. A model of consistency for Ohio State was Devin Royal at this point for the Buckeyes as a junior. 4 of those 10 games where he didn't score between 10 and 19, He scored 20 plus or 22 plus to be exact. Remember that Wisconsin game? Buckeyes win that one 86-69 at home. That kind of was the spark, it felt like, for Ohio State late in the season to kind of prove to a lot of fans that this team could be legit. This team could make an NCAA tournament run. And Royal was really, really good for the Buckeyes in that game. He shot 4 of 7 from deep. He was a spark in that game. He, in that game, again, kind of sparked Ohio State making a push into the NCAA tournament. But the role was just kind of weird this year for Devin Royal. As you look at just his overall play, he transitions from power forward in his first 2 years at Ohio State to small forward. He's an undersized guy, right? 6'6", not really built to play power forward necessarily in the Big Ten, but maybe in another league he could play power forward still. I don't know if he'll play the 3 or the 4 or what the plan will be for him once he's gone from Ohio State, but he played the 4 well in terms of being an undersized guy and still being able to score. He developed his shot a little bit, started to get more successful from the mid-range, and of course developed that 3-point shot for Ohio State in his junior year. But it doesn't change the fact that things were weird at times. You look at strengths and weaknesses for Devin Royal. This was a player who I personally think he struggled a bit to play out on the perimeter for Ohio State. He wasn't much of a creator as a slasher. He struggled at times with just ball handling and turnovers, it felt like. And his ability to defend on the wing maybe lacked at times as well. Now, he was a great rebounder. Really excellent rebounder, especially given his size and where he was playing. He developed that 3-point shot a little bit as a junior this year. And he played overall really, really strong basketball for Ohio State. So there were certainly strengths and there were weaknesses, but Devin Royal is the first player to transfer out from Ohio State officially. And we'll see who else joins Devin Royal at this point. Now, the roster as it stands right now, Devin Royal has been taken off this list. If you're watching on YouTube, there are still now 10 players who have decisions to make, from John Mobley Jr., Mari Bynum. I fully and wholeheartedly expect them to be back with Ohio State. I think there will be an announcement there. Even if not, I fully expect those guys to be back for the Buckeyes. But other players who I also expect to be back would be Josh Ojabuna, who said in an article, by the way, from Adam Jardy. I forgot to mention that during my prediction show, that he told Adam Jardy that he's going to be back next year. I don't have any concerns about him. I don't really have any concerns about Ivan Nagovin. Those are 4 players I expect to be locked in. I think Ohio State probably takes one of Gabe Cupps or Tayson Chapman. I think Miles Harrow, Braylon Nash, they're back if they want to be back. Matthew Grujitek, I don't expect to be back. And Colin White is a maybe. There are 2 kind of players now where my position has changed a little bit. I said no shot Tayson Chapman's back. Well, not no shot, but I just don't expect him back. Same with Colin White. I could see both of those guys coming back at this point. If you want more intel and info on that, you can go into the Insider subscriber chat. But that's as much as I'll say for now on those guys. So there's still going to be some shakeups on the roster. But as of right now, that's what I expect. So talking about why Devin Royal entered, as there's a lot of players who have decisions to make here for Ohio State. Devin Royal, the first to make a decision. I think the first thing we look at in his overall play style is that he's a tweener. Is he a 3? Is he a 4? Everyone has their own opinion on that. I think he's an undersized 4. And I think that he would really need to continue to develop his overall play if he wants to play the 3 next year, whether it be for Ohio State or anyone else. There are just some places where Royal isn't the strongest. That's not to say that he's a bad player necessarily whatsoever. He's going to leave a void for Ohio State. But Royal still at times kind of just failed to show some things that you'd like to see in a small forward. So I think it's pretty obvious why he entered. And this was the exact same thing I said in the prediction show this week was, look, Devin Royal is going to look at a situation where he probably wants to play the 3, and Anthony Thompson's going to come in and start at the 5, at the 3. A 5-star player is going to start at the small forward position for Ohio State. Amari Bynum really played well down the stretch for Ohio State. Would expect him to start at the 4. So what does that mean for Devin Royal? You have that coupled along with the fact that Devin Royal is entering his senior season. So when it comes to Devin Royal and his ability to get on the floor and maximize playing time, the NBA window or ceiling really not there, I don't think, for Devin Royal, unless he has a great senior season. This is a guy who, in my opinion, needs to go maximize his final year in college, he needs to maximize his ability to go make money. And because of that, I think that his value at Ohio State is much lower than his value elsewhere. I think there's other teams that will be in much need of a 3/4 type of player. They just need a forward, and they're going to be willing to pay Devin Royal more than Ohio State would have. And it sucks that he's a 4-star guy. He's a Columbus kid. He plays 3 years at Ohio State, and now he's not going to end his career at Ohio State. But that is just the nature of the business of college basketball at this point. So Devin Royal will move on. I think it's very obvious why he's heading out. Now, I don't know. I've asked around. I don't know if Ohio State offered him a role as a 6-man coming off the bench. I don't know if any promises were made. I know that in the previous week, Jake Diebler was meeting one-on-one with these players and doing these exit interviews and stuff like that. I don't know what went on within that meeting between Devin Royal and Jake Diebler, but my guess would be they kind of both went into it. My guess would be understanding, look, like, I think you're going to make more money elsewhere. I think that you're going to be happier elsewhere. You're going to get more playing time elsewhere. And you might even be able to transfer into a league like a Big 12 or a Big East where it's a little bit easier to score, where overall play style maybe bodes well for your style of play, and you may have more success. So I'm not saying that's the case. That's just my guess. That's what I would assume is what happened. But in terms of the impact of Devin Royal leaving Ohio State at this point, I think it's pretty obvious. There's really only one correct take here on Devin Royal entering the transfer portal. I mean, my goodness, you look at Twitter and you look at the replies and the quote tweets on the tweet that I sent out just saying that Devin Royal was entering the portal. I said, here's all I said. Former Ohio State forward Devin Royal will enter the transfer portal after 3 years with the Buckeyes. Royal averaged 13.7 points per game, 5.7 rebounds per game, and shot 47.6% from the field and 31.6% from the three-point line. The rising senior is likely to be among the top portal prospects. You may disagree with that. That's totally fine. Here's all I said. Rising senior, first of all, someone upset in my comments. Rising senior means that they're going from junior to senior in class. That's all it means. If you don't know what that means in today's world, I don't know how to help you. I can't help with that. I'd love to help you with that, but look, that's all rising senior means. Among the top portal prospects, by the way, is he going to be like a 5-star in the portal? I don't know. He's going to be a high 4-star. He's going to be a top 50 player easily within the portal. Like, relax, man. He's going to be a good player in the portal for Ohio State or leaving Ohio State at this point. So the talent really, I don't think can necessarily be argued against when it comes to Devin Royal. But there's a lot of people in the comments saying, oh, let's see, let's find some here on Twitter. So one thing I will say, I don't know this guy. I don't even know if he follows me on Twitter, but Tyler Diener said not losing sleep over this. He's the odd one out between Bynum and Anthony Thompson. 100% agree. 100% agree. I'll talk about that more in a second. If he's among the top portal prospects, then the portal is extremely thin this year. Look, I mean, he is going to be among one of the top portal prospects in the nation. That's just how it works. Other people saying good riddance. Other people saying fire Jake Diebler because, hey, man, it's not Ohio State basketball Twitter if we're not calling for Jake Diebler's job every single day. Look, folks, this is a loss for Ohio State. There's no question about that. At the same time, it's not addition by subtraction, but it is recognizing that the role for Devin Royal is going to be better elsewhere and that this transition makes sense. Ohio State has a starting 5-star player in Anthony Thompson waiting to come in and play small forward for Ohio State next year. Most of the people mad about Devin Royal leaving probably don't know that or just ignore that and just want to be mad at Jake Diebler, which is fine. And on the other side, you got Amari Bynum playing the 4. Where is Devin Royal going to play this year? There's literally one right take on this. Most of the time, I'm willing to see the other side. I'm willing to see the other. You can't ask Devin Royal to come off the bench. You can't. It's his final year playing college basketball. He wants to maximize his earnings. He wants to maximize his ability to go to the NBA. And you're not going to pay Devin Royal market value to come off the bench and be a 6-man for Ohio State. He wasn't going to take that, and Ohio State would be making a mistake paying him that if that were the case. Depth chart concerns, sure, those are there, but there was no question that this was what Devin Royal needed to do. It's the right decision for him, And I personally cannot be mad at him at this point. But you've got people mad that he's gone and blaming Jake Diebler. This was still the right decision. And by the way, let's just go to the aside now because I can just feel it already. I made a post yesterday, okay? I tweeted yesterday, and this is the off season, so I go a little bit more soapboxy here. I hope that you'll allow me to digress for a second. Look, poor choice of words, I get it. On the basketball intel dump that I sent yesterday, I talked about a hidden philosophy Ohio State is trying to replicate from last year's portal success. Was last year's portal class a success? No. What I meant to say was one aspect of their strategy that was successful last year. If you read the dang article, you would know that. A lot of you just want to tweet and be angry, and that's totally fine. I know that's your purpose, and that's good. We know we need those types of people too, because it makes the good Buckeye fans, those in the insider subscriber chat, for example, hey, we enjoy ourselves even more, because it's kind of like going a full day without eating. It's like fasting. You ever fasted? I fasted for almost 80 hours one time. Wouldn't recommend. I would recommend. Subtle flex. It is what it is. But if you go a full day without eating, then you finally get that bite of good food at like 8 p.m., for example. Oh man, does it taste more than after you've just had like an entire pizza and you're gonna have a bite of ice cream? You're like, I don't need this. That's kind of the way it is with the fan base, right? You need a lot of bad apples to appreciate the good ones, right? So we got people who want to be mad about that, and that's totally fine. And I'm really going off the rails here at this point. That's totally okay. I hope you'll just stick with me for a second. So I say all this to say, no, the portal class last year was not a success. And if you think that I am all in on Jake Diebler, if you think I love Jake Diebler, if you think I'm never going to criticize the coaching staff, you don't listen to the show. I was very angry after the Iowa loss when it happened. There's been plenty of other times. There's been plenty of other shows where I've criticized players and coaches and all that stuff. I don't talk to Jake Diebler regularly at all. Not at all. You'd be surprised how little I talk to Jake Diebler, actually, given he's been on the show multiple times now at this point. Yeah, I root for Jake Diebler. Yeah, I'm selfish. I think he's a nice guy, and I want him to be successful because he's an Ohio guy and all of the things, right? I still have been critical of the coaching staff. I've still been critical of Jake Diebler. I've been critical of people that I talk to on a regular basis. So if you don't think that that's true, then you just don't listen to the show enough at this point. Moving along, there are depth chart concerns now because of this. This is a move that I agree with, that I would have supported Devin Royal to do. But who's going to play the 3 next year for Ohio State coming off the bench for Anthony Thompson? Would have been awesome if you got Royal and Thompson on the team at the same time. Yes, of course, but there's not room for both of them. So I do think that there are concerns there for Ohio State. I think that right now, maybe Alex Smith can play the 3. I don't know. You're going to go need to get backcourt depth with size who can play the 2, play the 3. I don't care what it is, but you need size in the backcourt. That's not something Ohio State has. They are going to have to go target that in the transfer portal no matter what. So big picture takeaway, this was expected. There's really not much other to say than that. Devin Royal probably shouldn't have come back to Ohio State. It's probably the right call. Does it suck? Yeah. Would Ohio State be better next year if it had Devin Royal on the roster? Of course, but that's just not how this works at this point, and I think that any rational fan can probably see that. I get being frustrated that Devin Royal's not coming back, but you got to see the big picture of Anthony Thompson being back, of Amari Bynum taking a step. I don't think there was a spot for him necessarily, so I completely understand the move. That's what I would have recommended Devin Royal do. Now go take the money that you spent on Devin Royal. It doesn't work this way, but the money that's freed up by not retaining Devin Royal, go find a great point guard. Or go find a guy who can come off the bench. Or go find a center who can compete with Josh Ojawuna. I don't care. Do whatever it takes at this point. But it is what it is at this point. So that's my reaction to Devin Royal hitting the transfer portal, moving on from Ohio State. It's sad. I wish him well. Some think he's bad and are happy without him. And that's fine if you believe that too in your heart. Good. So move along. This is a weird time here. This is why you've got to be subscribed so you don't miss shows when they come out. Try to get a follow on the socials. You'll probably be on the Substack as well, because I post when I post shows. I post on the Substack as well to let people know that it's live. So all that said, I don't know when the next show will be. When news breaks, you will get a show. And in the meantime, I'll continue to talk about the team. Of course, talk about the Substack, all that stuff as well. Thanks so much for being here today. I appreciate you greatly. Until next time, I shut up before you shut me off.